deeply into science could help, could be the future. In fact, a good example is if anybody discovers anything that could save life, as we know now in the field of medicine that is so advanced, is it not a big accomplishment when we have a family that's saved because of its new discovery in medicine? It's a big advantage. So, as I said, there are a lot more in many other fields, and let's continue to support this growth, the Silicon Valley, and make Silicon Valley the prime and real true Silicon Valley globally. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me just give two examples that I've experienced that where government has actually gotten in the way because of either no policy or bad policy in terms of something that technology could just fix immediately, okay? Two completely different examples, but they're real clear, I think, examples that everybody can relate to. So we have all this technology that's made life easier with communications in my car, right? Bluetooth, this, GPS. I mean, we could drive up here from East San Jose and really not have to work at all in terms of figuring out where to go because the car has Bluetooth and the GPS talks to the Bluetooth and it can tell me right where to go. Isn't that wonderful? But when I try to get on the phone, or I try to get the GPS coverage from where I was coming from, along the way, there was a dead cell phone area. And all of a sudden, the directions, we couldn't get directions. The phone just said it can't provide directions, right? So what we needed to do to solve that is have cell phone coverage, what I would call wall-to-wall throughout the county. Why are there gaps? There's no reason for gaps except that somehow somebody is preventing cell phone carriers from installing their equipment where they need to have it. So a few years ago, I asked the Chamber of Commerce, the Silicon Valley Leadership Group, and some other folks to help me to assemble 20 business representatives in a room so we could figure out how to solve that problem. And frankly, we actually asked them we told them we'll solve any problem that you tell us you think we could solve. And Cisco was the largest business there. The smallest was a small printing company in downtown. They all had the same idea. They said, get cell phone coverage uninterrupted throughout the county so we can have conference calls and keep our business discussions going all day long without having dropped calls. So we said, what do we need to do that? So we brought the cell phone companies in and said, what do we need to do that? All you need to do is adopt a single ordinance in all 15 cities in the county, a single law that would very clearly promote cell phone installations in all the gaps that exist and get all the cities to agree to the same policy so that the companies have a streamlined ability to go install antennas. Well, I figured that would all be done in a month, right? Common sense, makes sense, get everyone on the same page, who could possibly be against it? About half the cities said they would do it. Milpitas, of course, was a wonderful cooperative city. And the other half, I won't mention names, it wasn't San Jose. They were very, very cooperative too. I was at San Jose at the time, frankly, I was a council member then. But the rest of the city said, that's not up to you, we want to decide that ourselves. That's our political process, not a countywide political process. Each city gets to determine themselves where cell phone antennas go or not. And we already have an ordinance and we think it's good enough. Those are the kind of responses we got. I was on the city council doing that almost 15 years ago. We still have the same problem. And I just told you what the solution is, and probably most people in the room already understand what the solution is, right? It's not that complicated. Another quick example, really quick, because it's easier to explain anyway. We have the technology in Santa Clara County right now to register voters electronically. I'm not even talking about voting. We have the technology to do that too. To vote, you can vote on your iPhone while you're at work. You know, the technology is already available, right? But we're not even allowed by the Secretary of State, and nothing against this Secretary of State, I mean, California government, we are not allowed to register voters online legally we're told not to do it. So you have to do it all by paper still. You have to have a form that's 8.5 by 14 and go out and sign people up. We in our own county have defied the state, and we're actually doing it, allowing it to be done electronically. But get the point. I think this is what you were asking. What about policies that would actually promote the use of technology for positive social benefit? Why wouldn't you want more voters? Why wouldn't you want it easier for people to register to vote? Why make that process difficult? So sometimes it's just hard even for us to understand what's really getting in the way, but it's some sort of obstinance in government, some sort of obstructionism that's getting in the way sometimes.
Hey, the city of San Jose has done a lot in recent years to help companies move in to the city. It already, San Jose for years now has been the leader in the nation in terms of number of patents that are registered. And in fact, next month, we're going to have the first West Coast permanent office, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, open up in City Hall, releasing space for the federal government. Those are all things that have happened because, not so much because of just the city, but because of what surrounds the city and what's within the city, because of the presence of all the companies and all the talent that's already here. The first thing I think about when I think about encouraging growth, whether it's the tech sector or frankly any kind of business, even small businesses, what have you, is to try not to get in the way. And if you're not, and then the second step is what can you do to be helpful? Now, sometimes governments, and whether it's a city level, state level, they put rules in place that are very well-meaning, but they don't necessarily know what the impact's going to be on stakeholders. And so it's really important to get everyone around the table, as David suggested, with the cell phone example, get everyone around the table so you can actually hear from everyone what their perspective is. You might have a great idea. I'm an elected official. I know what I'm doing. I have this great idea. Then you hear from business owners like, wait a minute, that's actually going to hurt us in this way. That's going to delay what our plans are for whatever reason. And so, one thing that I think is really important is to find ways to remove obstacles as much as possible for businesses and help encourage them to grow here. We do it whether it's manufacturing and tax credits, whether it's speeding up the permitting process. There are a number of ways that can be done. But I think at the larger level, whether it's the city, county, or at the state level, is to find issues where sometimes there's two different separate issues, and you merge issues together where there's commonality. I'll give you a couple of specific examples. One is the environmental community, maybe that rallies against the fossil fuels, against oil trains and the pollution, climate change, global warming. And the natural connection there when it comes to the business community is clean energy. And there's great opportunity right now, and we're seeing it happening, where you merge those two issues where it's a win-win. Because where are those jobs coming from that are going to resolve those issues? They're all being created here. The R&D, the research, the minds that are solving those problems that we're going to see for the rest of our century, it's happening here. So there's a common link that was never really linked before, but we have opportunities to do that. The other one is education. We have a lot of issues with education, and certain communities don't get the same resources. In certain communities, because of a number of reasons, children don't have internet access at home. They don't even have a computer at home necessarily. How can they compete with students that have all the opportunities, to have all the technology and resources available? Well, they can't. So there's opportunity to help link technology, link companies, link really creative minds with those schools that have a student body that don't necessarily have all those advantages. And that's another win-win situation where you're allowing these students who are coming out of our schools to compete in Silicon Valley, to compete in the 21st century economy. And so what I love here with this Youth Tech Day with Silicon Valley Young Voters Club, what I would like to see is, and I'm happy to help do that, is in the spring, let's bring this to East San Jose. Let's bring what we've already created here, and let's bring it to a community that may not always get a chance to hear some of the great things that are happening in our valley. And I think those are examples of win-win situations where government can be helpful in connecting what you're already doing to communities we represent.
We heard some really good examples, and actually I'm going to take Kalra's example about broadband, because I recently, there is a non-profit group that is trying to make broadband more affordable for families across the United States. So they are working with this commission that is in charge, and they actually sent me out an email, and I basically signed it off. I said, yes, that makes a lot of sense. Why can't we provide cheaper broadband? Right now, broadband is like $80, $100 with Comcast. If we make it $10, then families all over the United States, they will have access to data. Instead of going to the local library, now they have it in their homes, right? Simple things like that will really help enhance the quality of life, providing information and making technology a lot more accessible, right, to our citizens. Look at cell phone towers. When you talk about ordinance, a framework, you have the cell phone tower ordinance, which is completely different in Saratoga in comparison to Cupertino, in comparison to San Jose. So there is an opportunity for us to create a framework which is consistent across the board to make it a lot more easier for us to not only get good cell phone signals, but also to go out there and apply the similar technology to other areas. So I think we had some very good examples, and I have a final question now because I know we are over the limit now. We'll make this a quick 30-second to a minute response. We have quite a few kids who show up on a Sunday, weekly basis here, learning about Python programming, coding. They are figuring out Android, iOS programming, things like that. And what we're doing is we are capturing this on video and we'll be putting it online. The ones who did not make it because of Bandcamp and things like that, they will still get to see it. But we'd love to get some words of advice from our panelists. As these kids embark upon making college careers, picking colleges, picking career options, majors, things like that, what's that 30-second, 1-minute perspective that you would like to provide to them to help make those choices? Difficult question, but we'll love to get your response.
Get a mentor. Get a mentor that can support you both personally in terms of the decisions you're trying to make right now to get through high school, but also that can help you think through and work through the things, the trajectory, the path, the strategy, the program, right? Your life has a program too, and you need a mentor to help you through that. It's changed. Great mentors in my life have changed my life for the better. I'd hate to think of what my life would look at without them. I was fortunate to have them. I had a couple of more professionally. Who knows? Who knows? But I would give the same advice to my own 4 children instantly if they ask the same question. And it isn't your parents. Okay, I'll give you a clue. Listen to your parents. But the mentor isn't your parents, okay? And parents, you're not the mentor, because our kids, no matter how close our relationship is with them, really need, I believe, they need to get, to have somebody else in their lives that can help them work through where they're headed.
Yeah, and I might give advice that the parents also, just caution the parents about what I'm going to say, because I think this is really meaningful for me. I've spent my entire life doing public service, but I can't say that the choices I made every turn fit the expectations of the community. And so what I'll say to the youth is do well in school, study hard, absolutely, but take the time to find out what it is you're passionate about and then follow that passion. We have been given something, we're very lucky to have options, and it's because of our parents we have those options, so be thankful for that. But there are times it requires difficult conversations. Make sure it's something that you really are passionate about and want to do, but take the time to do that. It may not be being a doctor or engineer. It may be something totally different, and that's okay, as long as you put 100% into it. And don't just do it on a whim. Don't just do it just because, oh, this seems like something cool. If you're really passionate about something, put 100% into it. And I believe that, just like in my case, ultimately my parents came around. Your parents will come around too when they realize that you really truly are passionate about it, and they'll support you. But take the time to do that, and make sure that you're following your path, not your parents' path or journey, not your friend's path. Find your path, and follow that with 100% of your passion.
Yeah. Similarly, academic excellence would cover a lot of things, but as students, I think, especially at this time, that try to venture on many areas as much as you can. And you know why? That's one way of getting to know what do you like best, what are you happy with, and then pursue that. Because if you pursue something that you really love, things becomes very easy for you. And you could even go farther. That's number one. So, academic excellence, venture, of course, that includes a lot of community services, teams, organizations, sports, and things like that. You will mount into what you could be best. Okay? And I have a last comment about while we are so enthused about technology, let's not forget the personal touch. Sometimes, because of social media, we just are attached to our own device. I still believe that personal touch should be still in there, especially in terms of family relationship. Keep the personal relationship, personal touch, not via email or media, but be there in person. It makes a big difference now and into your future. And also, love of nature. Keep loving the nature, the environment you are with, and you will have a great life. Thank you.
That's great, I love that. And with that, a big round of applause for our panelists here. Thank you for taking the time from your day today to be here. I know the schedules are always jam-packed, so really appreciate you spending time here in Saratoga. And we have a token of appreciation, Oksana, if you can please.
Can I just say on behalf of all of us, thank you to the youth for organizing all of this and making us part of it. I think you all heard us encouraging you to do more and more of it. Thank you.
And Matt, hopefully we'll have you back again and again every Sunday maybe, or at least next year, and next year perhaps, we'll have you seated as one of the panelists here, who knows. So, thank you for Mayor Esteves, and for Councilmember Kalra, and we have for President David Cortese. Thank you again for joining us, really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the day. And with that, I'm gonna bring Shivaum back. And Shivaum.
All right, yeah, so that was a very informative panel for all of us. So let's give them one more round of applause. So some things I learned there was like, technology has advanced a lot in the past 20, 30 years, and it'll continue to advance. And technology also is like saving money for all of us, and it makes life much easier. So, and the advice they said for all of you kids is you should have mentors that can support you with everything you do, and they will help you and teach you different stuff. And also find your passion and follow it, because when you find your passion, like things will be much easier and you'll love what you're doing. So now we'll go into our next panel, the industry panel. I'd like to invite Mr. Henley, Mr. Kumar, Mrs. Dabir, Mrs. Pawar, Mr. Fan, and Mr. Ramakrishna to come up to the stage. And we'll have Oksana introduce them.
So before I introduce our executive panel, I'd like to thank Mr. Kumar for moderating that. I think a lot of us know that he's the council member of Saratoga, but not many of us know that he's the vice president at Smart Utility Systems, a software analytics cloud mobile company, and he has spent 15 years in IBM. And I think he is very qualified to be here, very knowledgeable about the subject. And I mean, I honestly don't know how he finds time in his day to be here, because he's such a busy man. He always organizes events for a community, like Saratoga Has Talent, annual competition, drought-tolerant vegetation seminars, Diwali, Dandiya, free Sunday classes with yoga. And I mean, he's everywhere. he does so many things for our community, and I think he does a great job of reaching out to our citizens, and I'd like to thank him, so please give him a round of applause. And with that said, I would like to invite our executive panelists up. First, we have Mr. Francois J. Henley. Yes, okay, you're here. He's the president and CEO of QMAT Incorporated, a developer of engineered substrate process technology for the optoelectronics and power electronics markets. Prior to QMAT, Mr. Henley was the founder and president of Silicon Genesis Incorporated and Photon Dynamics, a leader in LC